Okay, for this yoga practice, if you haven't already gathered your props, make sure that you have 2 yoga blocks, a chair, a strap or an old necktie, and a blanket is optional, maybe to pad your head when we get to laying down. And we'll get started. This is part 1 of Yoga for Osteoporosis, Bone Strength. And in this video, I'm going to show you the foundations of the feet and some ways to make your hips strong so that we can practice safely when you get into part 2, which is the actual practice. So I want to talk about the feet a little bit. I invite you to either sit in a chair or stand up with your feet about 2 fist widths apart. So that's, if you tuck your hands in between your arches and squeeze with your inner arches, that's about how far apart you want your feet, and you want the outer edges of your feet parallel. So you might feel a little bit pigeon-toed. So always want to think about this as your foundation. And then I want you to lift your toes up and think about spreading them wide. Spread your fingers wide also. And then exhale, go ahead and just relax your toes back down. Now you might have felt your arches draw up a little bit and your tailbone drop down a little bit, because what we do in our feet actually affects our hips and the other way around. So you don't want to have too much weight on the inside of your foot. You'll feel how that loosens the base of your spine and increases your lumbar curve. I'll turn sideways, you don't have to. So if I push into the inside, you can see I automatically kind of lifted my tailbone. If I push a lot into the outside, my tailbone will naturally drop. So when we're doing these poses, you want to get your weight centered right in the middle of your foot. Big toe mound and pinky toe mound equal. I want you to think about that not only when you're doing these poses, but also even as you're walking. Your foot will naturally go like this, like supinate and pronate as you walk, but try and keep yourself as level as you can in your feet, and that'll help make you stable when you walk. 2 super simple exercises to strengthen your hips, and that will help your feet stay in line. The first, you're going to grab a hold of a yoga block or a pillow or a blanket and stick it in between your knees, still with your feet about 2 fist widths apart. And that's all you need. There's something in between your knees and your hands. So you're going to sit down into your heels a little bit, right? On your inhale, you're going to push into your hands, but don't let your knees move. Just push your knees out into your hands. Not so much that the block drops. That's your inhale. Your exhale, you're going to pull your low belly in and squeeze with your inner thighs. Important part of your core. So here we go. Inhale, push into your hands. Keep your feet level. Exhale, squeeze your inner thighs. One more time. Inhale, push into the hands. You can get a little arm work out here. And then exhale, squeeze the block. All right, so great way to strengthen your inner and outer thighs and help stabilize your hips. It's going to make your balance better. Now, we also, before you practice, you always want to warm up your spine. So we can do that standing. Find your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Exhaling, again, wiggle your toes, sit down into your heels, and we're simply going to arch and round a little bit. Inhaling, take the tailbone up, maybe gaze toward the ceiling. So if you already have osteoporosis in your upper back, you might not want to round your upper back too much as you exhale. Just tuck your tailbone, curl your low back under. Inhaling, gently arch, and exhaling, hollow out. Root those feet, both sides of the foot. Inhaling, gently arch, and exhaling, hollow out. And then stand up tall, roll your shoulders up by your ears, drop your shoulder blades back and down, and take breath. And now before we get into the practice, I want to show you proper alignment for the feet in the standing poses. So for this practice, going to want to have 2 yoga blocks, a chair. You'll need a strap eventually. You can see my straps down here along the ground, and maybe a blanket. Blanket is optional. Okay, so the first standing pose, tree pose, you could just hold on to a chair, right? Or you can back up against the wall. I'm going to show you the other standing poses backed up against the wall. The next three standing poses all have the same foot alignment. Warrior 2, triangle, and extended side angle. So I'm going to take one block and stick it wide side flat on the ground. And I'm going to take the other block and stick it narrow side up on the ground. So you want to get your feet as wide as you can, maybe eventually going so wide that your ankles are right under your wrists. Okay, so I'm using the wall. You can just lean yourself back against the wall. Now the block that's farthest, your foot that's furthest away, you're going to turn it sideways gently, heel in, toes out, right? So you're using the wall. You can even hold on to a chair so you're stable both front and back. And then my back foot is still heel against the wall. So what I've created here is heel to arch alignment, right? If I were to step forward on the strap, my front foot would be on the strap and my back foot would be crisscrossing it, right? So this is the same for Warrior Two. Extended side angle. You can lean back into the wall. And triangle, where both legs are straight. Okay, so on the other side, we flip this block flat. Turn this block up. So be careful as you're transitioning, right? Careful of your knees. And then heel goes against the back foot, the back block, side foot against the front. Right, so this is, even if you've done this practice before, it'll be a great way to just check your alignment. Heel to arch. Same thing, all three poses. Warrior Two. You can lean back and feel that opening in your hips. Forearm to the thigh for extended side angle. And also triangle, where you open up your heart, lean back, right? So remember, you're not putting any weight in the knee if you rest your hand on your thigh or your shin, just not on the knee. So that's the alignment for those three poses. The last standing pose is a twist, a standing twist. So I'm going to show it to you this way first. So in this pose, we want to be sure that we are really stable. Okay? And this is how we're going to do it. Your front foot is going to go against the inside of the foot's going to go against those two flat blocks. And then your back toes are going to go against the wall. So now what I've created is some space down the middle of my body. So that's a stable base. On an inhale, get tall. Your hips are pointing front. On an exhale, you're going to fold forward. And then you can rest your hand on the chair, extending your spine. You're going to twist from the waist, opening up. So if you were to fall, you're likely going to fall into the wall. Nice and safe. You could use the wall, right? So revolve triangle safely against the wall. Right? So let's just switch to the other side so you can see it. Front foot goes against the two flat blocks. Back toes go diagonally against the wall. And I've got my shoulder right up against the wall. So I've got space for my body. Right? Having the blocks help us make space for our body as well. So take your spine straight. I'm trying to keep that front foot straight. You could just rest your hand on your thigh, nice and firm, or your shin. You can lean into the wall, pull your belly in, and rotate. So these poses are challenging. You have to work pretty hard. Come safely out of it. All right, come to Tadasana. Good way to stay safe when you're coming to stand up is look forward, don't look down. Okay, so that's the foundations. And in part 2, we're going to do the actual practice. 12 poses in about 20 minutes.